SCP-6173. The Art, the Origin. Object Class: Keter. Special Containment Procedures. All currently confirmed differentiated SCP-6173 instances are to be contained in large capacity chambers 1 through 20, and undifferentiated instances are contained in chambers 21 through 25 in Site-173. In order to prevent the manifestation of its anomalous features, the SCP-6173 research team is required to monitor the chambers on a round-the-clock basis. Multiple security cameras are placed inside the chamber to create as few blind spots as possible. Description: SCP-6173 is a group of anomalous entities of unknown origin. SCP-6173 can be roughly divided into undifferentiated instances and differentiated instances. Undifferentiated SCP-6173 instances typically appear as gray-skinned, multi-legged creatures of about 0.7 meters in length, but due to the anomalies described below, their appearance is diverse and inconsistent. When undifferentiated instances are not seen by living creatures for a long period of time, their bodies become fluid and their forms change due to unknown factors. The rate and the shape of the change varies from instance to instance, and it is assumed that there are no limits to the change. The main anomaly of an undifferentiated SCP-6173 instance is triggered when it is first seen, either directly or indirectly, by a human being, herein referred to as the observer. After the first sighting, the observer develops some kind of emotional attachment to SCP-6173. Footnote 1. Mainly curiosity, discomfort, and fear, and then begins to obsess about its identity. When the observer derives his or own interpretation of its identity, the feeling toward SCP-6173 are alleviated and the obsession is lost. As an alternative, SCP-6173 instance acquires characteristics that are consistent with the observer's interpretation. Instances in this state are distinguished as differentiated instances, and this state is permanent. Regardless of whether it has differentiated or not, SCP-6173 rarely splits its body and produces undifferentiated instances if it has not been seen by human beings for a long time. The exact number of SCP-6173 instances is uncertain. The total number of SCP-6173 instances currently found and housed by the Foundation is 206, but the Foundation's research team estimates that this is less than 1% of the actual number of SCP-6173 instances in existence. Addendum 1. Examples of SCP-6173 instances. SCP-6173-1. A 0.8 meter tall entity similar to the basic morphology of an undifferentiated instance. It generates snow by keeping the temperature of the surrounding 10 meters below -3 degrees Celsius. Found in the Ibaraki Prefecture, Japan. Interpretation: a snow fairy. SCP-6173-17. A 1.5 meter tall entity with hand-like projections growing on the basic form of an undifferentiated instance. Piano sounds via unknown means. Found in Hashima Island, Japan by a Foundation employee. Interpretation: a musical instrument. SCP-6173-42. An irregularly shaped fluid. It senses life forms around it in an unknown way and attacks them by transforming and hardening. Found in the Ardèche Valley in France. Interpretation: unknown. SCP-6173-73. An entity with a type of cactus, Echinopsis pachanoi, growing on top. Acts to grow a cactus. Found in Stowe, Vermont. Interpretation: an autonomously moving flower pot. SCP-6173-79. A long, thin, 10-meter-tall entity with projections that resemble limbs. It targets one human in its surroundings and approaches behind it at high speeds. It has been confirmed that it mimics telephone poles and trees. Found in Stowe, Vermont. Interpretation: an entity that mimics and ambushes its target for the purpose of surprising it. SCP-6173-83. An entity with a shell-like organ on top. It makes a sound when a human approaches. It can move at 60 km per hour autonomously. It is very active and has been seen moving around the housing chamber. Found in Stowe, Vermont. Interpretation: a powerless being that intimidates its enemies by ringing its shell. SCP-6173-101. A horizontally elongated entity, at least 30 meters long, with more than 100 small legs. Found in Schwarzwald, Germany. Interpretation: unknown. Addendum 2. Multiplication Log. Introduction. The following log is an excerpt from a recording of the growth process that was attempted during an experiment using SCP-6173. Experimental method: SCP-6173-83 is carried into the experimental chamber. Due to the anomalous nature of SCP-6173, it is not possible to observe the growth process by direct visual observation or by using an ordinary camera, so it is photographed and recorded by a special observation device, SENOM, developed by the Foundation. Supplement: the special observation device, SENOM, is a video camera that was developed in 2018 due to the need to develop an increasing number of anomalies whose properties change with visibility and perception. The camera itself has several anomalies that make it impossible for the camera to be considered visible. Begin log. 1 minute, 16 seconds. The experiment begins. SCP-6173-83 is moving erratically around the chamber. 1 minute, 34 seconds. SCP-6173-83's movements begin to slow down. 1 minute, 37 seconds. SCP-6173-83 stops moving completely. 1 minute, 38 seconds. SCP-6173-83's body liquefies and coalesces into a single slime-like shape. 1 minute, 39 seconds. The body of SCP-6173-83 gradually splits into left and right, and it splits into two completely in about 3 minutes. Hereafter, these two SCP-6173 instances are called SCP-6173-84 and SCP-6173-85 respectively. 1 minute, 42 seconds. SCP-6173-84 and SCP-6173-85 stop in their slime form for a few tenths of a second, but then begin to form their bodies at their own speed. Notably, the formation seems to begin from the legs. 1 minute, 46 seconds. The body formation process of SCP-6173-84 is completely finished. SCP-6173-84 stands in front of SCP-6173-85's and moves its 3 legs irregularly. It is likely part of a communication process, but the details are unknown. Nlog. Addendum 3. History. With regards to SCP-6173, some historical documents from various countries suggest that SCP-6173 was involved in the formation of certain cultures and the natural environment. This raised the possibility that SCP-6173 may be closely related to human history and geography, so we increased the number of people assigned to research SCP-6173. As a result of our research, we discovered a number of events that were found to be related to SCP-6173, and representative examples of each genre are listed below. Culture. Finland. Finland is the birthplace of the sauna, and many homes have their own saunas. It has also developed in a different way from other countries, such as converting the inside of cars and buses into saunas, and developing a wide variety of saunas. Among them, there is an undifferentiated culture, especially in Lappi province, where cauldrons with a shape very similar to that of SCP-6173-73 are placed in the sauna room, and sauna stones are placed inside the cauldrons to perform lol. Footnote 2. Lol. A Finnish sauna technique in which aromatic water is poured over sauna stones to generate steam and rapidly raise the room temperature. The exact origin of this culture is unknown, but it is believed that the shape of the cauldron is based on the shape of an unidentified creature from the region called a mutera. According to several historical sources, the characteristics of this unidentified creature are consistent with SCP-6173 and its undifferentiated state. Japan. Since ancient times in Japan, the foundation of communities and the creation of cultures based on animism has been carried out. Footnote 3. Animism. The idea that a spirit or spirits reside in everything, whether living or inorganic. Due to the characteristics of SCP-6173, its existence was called Agatsu, and it was feared as a monster that transformed into the thing that a person fears the most and attacks. With the decline of religious culture in Japan, the culture has almost disappeared, but it has been confirmed that it still exists in some areas. Additional 89 examples in 31 regions followed. Music. Ghana. In some settlements in West Africa, there is a form of performance based on the movement motif of SCP-6173. During rituals, the village leader dances with both feet and right arm in the air, and the villagers play instruments and dance to the rhythm. In the village, SCP-6173 is called Amentos Tangara and is an object of worship. The word Amentos Tangara means the one who leads in that settlement, and they actively accept the effects of the SCP-6173 anomaly and live their lives accordingly. Poland. It is known that Frédéric François Chopin, a leading Polish composer of romantic music, had an encounter with the SCP-6173 when he was in his late 20s. Chopin was spending time with his friend Eugene Delacroix when he had an encounter with SCP-6173, and Delacroix recorded the sequence of events in his diary. Chopin interpreted the undifferentiated SCP-6173 individual as the beginning, and as a result, the SCP-6173 transformed into a body with 5 legs and the shape of a 16th note, and it is said to have generated the sound of a piano from its body. Chopin is said to have heard this and improvised a composition which he published, but the details are unknown. Egypt. Although the cause is unknown, the desert areas of Egypt have a higher population of undifferentiated SCP-6173 instances than any other areas of the world. The anomaly of SCP-6173 has caused these people to stop and consider SCP-6173, but most of them, as mentioned above, are in a state of exhaustion due to the harshness of the desert sun and lack of water. The people have interpreted the SCP-6173 as a protector or a water fairy due to the harshness of the sun and the lack of water in the desert. As a result, the SCP-6173 changed its shape into a cactus or umbrella-like object. However, in addition to this, desert travelers often interpret the SCP-6173 as a sound generator when they encounter it. This may have something to do with the lack of sound in the desert environment, but it also turns the SCP-6173 into an object that constantly generates a wide variety of sounds. These sounds have a weak psychic effect, forcing the organism that hears them to calm down and to remember the sounds strongly. For this reason, during the Middle Ages and early modern times, there was a tradition in the surrounding areas that there were monsters in the desert regions that emitted fascinating sounds. Additional 23 examples and 17 regions followed. Art. Poland. Frédéric Chopin's friend Eugene Delacroix, one of the leading painters of Romanticism, completed 6 paintings based on Chopin's experiences with the SCP-6173. 5 of the paintings were later lost in a fire, but the remaining one was found to have been contained as SCP redacted before the investigation began, as it had a psychoactive effect on the viewer, causing a strong sense of anxiety and agitation. Based on this effect, it is assumed that the 5 paintings that were lost in the fire had the same abnormal effects. India. Rajesh, an Indian screenwriter in the 1970s, had been involved with a number of SCP-6173 instances since his childhood, and his interpretations were often based on Hinduism. Some SCP-6173 instances developed the characteristics of half-divine entities, and in a few cases they turned into hostile entities, and Rajesh was often affected by this. The loss of sight in his right eye, deformation of his left pinky finger, and miscommunication of emotions are some of the examples. It is known that Rajesh described these effects as divine trials, and used these experiences as the output of his film scripts. All the films created had the effect of causing serious cognitive disasters, and had already been discovered and neutralized by the Global Occult Coalition when the Foundation began its investigation of SCP-6173. Additional 570 examples and 97 regions followed. Addendum 4. Analyzation. When it was discovered that SCP-6173 was globally distributed and had a profound impact on human and natural history, the investigation and research became even more extensive. The research included the internal organization of the Foundation and its anomalies, which led to the revelation that SCP-6173 may be the origin of several anomalies owned by the Foundation. The following document is an excerpt from a researcher's meeting log regarding anomalies presumed to involve SCP-6173. Meeting log. April 20th, 2021. Members: Dr. Mia Andrews, head of SCP-6173 research team. Taki Soichi, SCP-6173 research team assistant. Agent Matthew Carpenter. Begin log. Irrelevant conversations omitted. Dr. Mia: So, Mr. Carpenter, let's get down to business. What do you mean by certain anomalies may be related to SCP-6173? Agent Carpenter: Yeah, Doctor. Are you familiar with SCP redacted? Yes, I saw the file the other day. I think it was a giant gecko that was found in Indonesia and is said to be the god of the region? That's right. Its anomaly is that it appears on Earth on the night of the new moon and solves the problem of those who see it. But that in itself is not so important. What matters is its history. According to the local legends, SCP Redacted's appearance and nature are acquired, and its original form was different. Researcher Taki. You mean the original form is very similar to SCP-6173? Yes. It was said to have 7 legs and a gray body, and when the elders of the time saw it, they received a divine revelation, and the creature changed into what it was revealed to be. That's what SCP Redacted is today. I think this divine revelation is the interpretation of SCP-6173. Right. If it proves to be identical to SCP-6173, SCP Redacted will be renamed to 6173. Anything else to report? No, that's all. Thank you. I mean, did it offend you? No. Not your fault. I was just getting a little fed up with all these reports lately. Oh, I see what you mean. I'm somewhat sorry. I feel you, Doctor. This is, what, the 10th? Yep, the other day I renamed the SCP Redacted because it turned out to be related to SCP-6173, and there are already 11 examples of existing objects that originated from SCP-6173 and 17 examples that may have originated from SCP-6173. Oh, that's 18 more now. Don't you think I've been assigned to the most ridiculous object research team ever? I enjoy being involved in the root of the anomaly, though. Anyway, what are the SCP-6173s? Seriously, what are they? I guess they are like gargoyles. You know them? The rain gutter? Yes. Gargoyles were originally created for artistic purposes on gutters. They came in a variety of shapes, from animals and people to demons and monsters. The most common were gargoyles, that resembled demons and monsters, which terrified later generations. They thought they might move. The gargoyle as a monster was born from this fear. In other words, the gargoyle is a monster created by human imagination. I see. SCP-6173 also creates properties from human imagination. SCP-6173 forces people to imagine themselves and then acquire those properties. What does this mean, and what does SCP-6173 have to do with us? Irrelevant conversations omitted. Endlog. SCP-6173 related record. Intelligence. On February 5th, 2021, an incident involving SCP-6173 occurred while conducting an experiment in which Class D personnel were used as test subjects to cause humans to lose all emotion and intelligence. Footnote 4. This D-Class personnel was to be used later for the experiment of SCP Redacted. The following is an excerpt from the experiment log. Begin log. May 2nd, 2021. 1559. D-590 is tied to a chair in the experimental chamber. 1600. The chamber is sprayed with a gas that causes emotional suppression. 1603. A television screen set up in the chamber shows multiple cognitohazards, which have the effect of rapidly decreasing intelligence. D-590 convulses due to the side effects. 1605. Emotional disruption using a special electromagnetic wave makes it theoretically impossible for D-590 to express any emotions. 1619. 7.5 minutes of music with a mimetic effect is played from speakers installed in the chamber. 1627. Music, electromagnetic waves, gas, and images stop. 1630. The staff member in charge of the experiment enters the chamber and conducts a simple intelligence test and an experiment on emotional control. D590 scores very low on the intelligence test, confirming the loss of emotion. 1634. D590 is placed in a special housing chamber. First day's experiment is over. May 3rd, 2021. 420. Some unusual effects occur on the body of the sleeping D590. D590's body twitches and wakes up from the sleep, and D590 screams. 421. D590 falls into a delirium, showing strong feelings of fear despite having lost his emotions the day before. D590 then bites off his right fingers and uses the blood to draw what looks like a symbol on the bedsheet. D590 tears the bed sheets into small pieces and puts them together to create an intricately shaped object. D590 laughs at it and says, "It's art." 422. D590 prays to the object he made and speaks some words. The content is inaudible. 423. D590's object starts to move due to an unknown factor. D590 screams and tries to run away. The object turns into a headless humanoid sculpture, approaches D590 and crushes his neck. D590 dies. D590's blood splatters in the lens of the surveillance camera, and the camera image is unable to show the chamber. 425. Foundation staff arrive at the chamber where D590 was contained. 2 undifferentiated SCP-6173 instances are in the chamber. 427. 2 undifferentiated instances each differentiate. Since both have differentiated into entities with no dangerous anomalies, the staff secure them intact. End log. Addendum 5. Conclusion. Based on the aforementioned supplementary materials and the results of further research, the following conclusions can be drawn about the origin and nature of SCP-6173. Conclusion. May 20th, 2021. In conclusion, it is assumed that the original form of SCP-6173 was a concept. As a result of a detailed examination of the incident described in Addendum 4, it was confirmed that some kind of entity had invaded D590's body just before he awoke, and this entity was SCP-6173. D590 had lost his intelligence and emotions, but seemed to have regained them the moment SCP-6173 possessed him. D590 was very afraid of something, and it has always been standard practice for the concept of fear to be metaphysically reduced to art. So D590 was probably trying to give form to that fear. D590's relief, the work of art, became a sculpture that attacked D590 and crushed his neck. And just like that, the sculpture went on multiplying, creating 2 undifferentiated instances. Our guess is that SCP-6173 is the closest concept to what we call emotion. SCP-6173 possesses organisms that lack intelligence and emotions, causing them to develop strong emotions and output those emotions in a tangible form. This form is the medium through which SCP-6173 is transformed from a concept into a metaphysical form, and is probably the medium through which SCP-6173 multiplies as a species. In other words, the number of SCP-6173 currently contained is not 1% of all SCP-6173, but less than 0.01%. As long as there are people, SCP-6173 will continue to metaphysically drop, multiply, and influence human history. Why have humans always tried to make the incomprehensible into the comprehensible? SCP-6173 probably has a lot to do with that culture. Sculptures, music, movies, play, etc. are all ways to turn the fear of the unknown, such as natural disasters and the fear of monsters, demons, and other harmful things, into a medium that can be understood. Perhaps SCP-6173 was behind this, guiding us to give form to our emotions. Trying to give form to the formless, trying to give form to emotions, trying to express what we want to. This may be what we call art. Signed, Dr. Maya Andrews, Site-173, Head Researcher of SCP-6173. Thank you for listening to SCP-6173, The Art, The Origin, by Karath and Pawn Hero. If you enjoyed this SCP, please like and subscribe, and follow the link in the description to the SCP Wiki, and vote up the article to support the authors and the SCP Wiki as a whole.